Everybody. My name is Blake Gregorish, sales engineer at Lenovo. Providing an update on our education Chrome devices moving forward. We just had a recent release of newer Gen 5 Chrome devices with a lot of really cool new features, and super excited to share that with you today.
Yeah, and welcome. This is our second annual Advent Lenovo product roadmap. And Blake will even let you know, because there are some products from year to year that haven't changed much. And so we'll link in the description last year's product roadmap, which covered a lot more Windows devices and desktops, things like that. And you'll notice from Blake's presentation, we're going to focus more on Chrome here, because there's been quite a few Chrome updates to the Lenovo portfolio, which are really exciting. So Blake, take it away.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. So one thing I like to always start on when we talk about our commercial or education devices is our ruggedization testing. So durability is super important to educators, and we know that because students can be ruthless with their technology. So one of the things I like to touch on is what we do for durability testing, and you can see that listed here. It's a combination of drop testing, reinforced LCD glass, hinge testing, liquid spills, pretty much everything that would allow a device to really survive in the hands of the school kid. Now, I'm trying to say that these devices are indestructible, but we really do what we can to make these devices as durable as possible. So in addition to what you see here, we also have a little bit more information on the water spillage rating, which is about 360 cubic centimeters and about 76 centimeters of drop on concrete height. So just additional durability testing that we do to the device itself, just to make sure it could withstand that punishment. So some important dates coming up, especially when it comes to releases of devices. Now, we did officially release Intel versions of the Lenovo Chromebooks. However, due to some Intel supply challenges, we currently only offer MediaTek until that supply situation gets better. So moving forward, we're on the MediaTek platform for the 100E, 500E, 14-inch, and 15-inch. And the dates are listed just so you have for your reference of when they become available. And I think as of tomorrow, the 500E and the MediaTek 14-inch will be shipping as well. So transitioning into the new design features. So we've done a little bit of unifying the design of Chromebook devices across our entire portfolio. We have a texturized bottom to the device, so it kind of makes it easier to grip if you don't have a case on it. Also, we certainly have some Chromebook Plus options that educators may use to mirror the student experience, so to speak, from an OS perspective. And we've increased the just sort of the user experience with these devices in terms of walking around with them, carrying them, and just being easier to handle. So a little bit on that unified new design and what the texturized bottom looks like. We have also a recessed area for asset tagging. So, we just want to make sure that we do raise the device a bit so the asset tag doesn't rub off. We just want to make sure we're thinking of everything as well. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So what comes with some of the new design improvements is really based on a lot of feedback that we received from prior generations, and that's on repairability. So in this case, the main changes that we've made is that in the prior generations of Lenovo Chromebooks, we only had a single USB-C. This time we're moving to dual USB-C, and both of them are replaceable, modular. So there's one USB-C on the system board that is independently replaceable, as in if it gets damaged, you can replace the piece of it itself without replacing the entire system board. The secondary USB-C port itself shares a daughter card with a USB-A and a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So we hear that kids manage to damage the audio jack as well pretty easily sometimes, whether it's like things getting stuck in there or them bending it too much. But it's easy to replace that because all three of those ports are on a single daughter card now. So if there's any repairs that need to be made, it's easy to swap out. We also have.
Can I ask you, Blake? So it sounds like there'll be 11, 0.6 to 12.2 options again this year, which is something Lenovo has done in previous years. That's only on the 500E though, right?
So good question. So we've unified we've really consolidated the product line. And now we only have a 100 and a 500. The 500E, to your point, will be the option that is 2-in-1. The 100E will be the clamshell option.
And to your point about USB-C, so will the dual USB-C be only available in maybe the 8.6-inch version? And that I just know because we even did videos on this last year. It was the Lenovo 500E G4S at least that's what we were calling it for a while. That's what was going to have 2 USB ports, and that's what's 2 USB-C ports. And but it wasn't a 12.2-inch device; it was an 11.6-inch device. So, can you just comment on what that might look like, the options this next year?
Yeah, and that's a great clarification because we did have one model that we released last year, the Gen 4S, that did have dual USB-C just due to the demand of having that redundant extra port. The dual USB-C on these devices will be available on both the 11.6-inch and the 12.2-inch. So it's going to be available on all student Chrome devices.
And including 100E?
Including 100E. So both 100E and 500E. Yes, correct.
And that's a big update. I mean, again, I just from years of working with repair, partners of ours that were authorized service providers, that's a really big deal to have 2 USB-C ports in these devices. Like that's great. I've even seen some manufacturers start to backpedal from that, which I think is a very bad idea. I know it costs more, but just the overall durability is so much better. So kudos to you guys. That's great.
Appreciate that. And yeah, to your point, it does, of course, it does cost a little bit more to have those mitigating factors built into the device itself. But it's just, you think about how much money you save on the repairing front if you don't have to replace a whole system board because, students got a little bit creatively destructive.
Yeah, great.
So we, at least in this presentation, which I will happily provide, we actually show a quick video of what it's like to also replace the top load keyboard. And that's about 77 seconds to do so. So it's pretty easy to remove one of the 2 captive screws from the bottom. You flip the device around and then you pop the keyboard off the top. It's very quick and painless.
Yeah.
So a lot of the focus has been on repairability, and you can see it a little bit here. So we also include USB-C port videos, so what this looks like as well. And you can see them replacing the USB-C here and how quick and easy that is. So top features here, again, so dual USB-C ports, these are full function. So DisplayPort, power delivery, all of that is supported. We do support Wi-Fi 7 on these Chromebooks as well. We were previously at Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E last generation, and also support for LTE. The other piece of this is that optional stylus. Now, while we always have had an optional stylus for the 2-in-1 design, we now support pencil touch on the 2-in-1 touch screen. So,
nice.
So another thing I'd like to mention is that previously our product line was split up in the 100E, 300E, and 500E, where the 100 was your clamshell, the 300E was your 11.6-inch 2-in-1, and the 500 was your 12.2-inch 2-in-1. So when we consolidated the product line to the 100 and the 500, the 100 is still your 11.6, but the 500 can be built with an 11.6-inch touchscreen or a 12.2-inch touchscreen, kind of still giving you that choice if you prefer a smaller touchscreen.
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, LTE, we've already started to get LTE quotes for some customers we have that actually have specific bands, private networks, things like that from Lenovo, and that's been great because we have actually had a hard time with some of the other manufacturers finding LTE devices right now, and you guys are starting to make them and ship them here pretty soon.
Right. So LTE was definitely hotly requested, a lot of because of what you mentioned, where it's just providing students with internet access at all times, or just providing internet on private bands. We just wanted to give them the flexibility to achieve that too.
Yeah.
Of course, so just overall gen-to-gen improvements, I'd like to include this slide so you can see what's changing between Gen 4 and Gen 5. Again, a lot of it is what I covered here. The MediaTek is being updated to the 8189 processor. It performs very well. And so much so that, if there's any concerns about MediaTek performance, with MediaTek's own internal benchmarks, they're claiming that it performs similar to an N150 or better than an N150 in most cases, while still having better battery life overall.
Nice.
So 500E, gen-to-gen improvements. We have 2 different screen options on the 500E. That's because we did away with the 300E, but we can still support, of course, the 11.6-inch screen should you choose. Also less expensive option than the 12.2-inch. And then, of course, some of the battery life improvements, just making that move to MediaTek as well.
Nice.
So 14-inch, and then of course, we have to certainly satisfy the use case for when it comes to larger form factors. So the 14-inch, this would be, if I believe last year I may have talked about the 14E Gen 3, but this would be the official follow-on to that Chrome device. So some improvements here are going to be to the aspect ratio. I know we try to slim the bezels out every year as much as we can, so we're getting a little bit better screen to body ratio of around 87%, and then the very same repairability features you see on the 100 and the 500 carry over to the 14 as well. Now, while the
Wow.
14 doesn't have the top load keyboard, it does have the dual replaceable USB-C, which again, we wanted to have as a unifying feature across the portfolio. So what that means, one USB-C on the main board, and then the other USB-C on daughter board with the USB-A and 3.5 audio jack. So those feature repairability features carry over as well.
Cool.
And then
And
another slide.
is there a new naming convention for it? Is it just 14, Chrome 14 Lenovo?
Yeah, it's just a Chrome 14.
Yeah, great.
So, yeah, and just another slide, just kind of highlighting some of the improvements we've made with the better display, the longer battery life, and then the 5 megapixel camera. So better unified communications improvement, as well as Wi-Fi 7 support as well. So updated the network capabilities across all these devices. And this will be on the same MediaTek platform as the 100 and 300, the 100 and 500 as well.
Got it.
So 14-inch improvements, very, very large improvements across the board between the 14E Gen 3 and the current new 14-inch option, which is also known as the Gen 4. Just improvements to the display, the camera, of course, the dual USB-C for port redundancy purposes, the better battery life, and of course the MediaTek platform.
Very cool.
So we also, as just like a large point of feedback, have received a lot of just customer inquiry around a 15-inch Chrome device, any Chrome device with a 10-key numpad. So we're also coming out with a 15-inch Chrome MediaTek device that will be releasing, I believe, in late May, with a lot of some of the features mentioned previously. So all this is going to be is a MediaTek-based 15-inch option, usually made for faculty or students with visual impairment. If any student needs a larger device for just different use case applications, or if they are visually impaired, the 15-inch option is a good option for that too.
I mean, it's cool. You're going to have a fingerprint reader option too, because there's just there's a million different 2FA ways to verify yourself now, and fingerprint reader is pretty handy for staff that don't want to have to remember about 1,000 passwords. So just do your bio identification.
Yep, that's a good point too. So, especially when it comes to multi-factor authentication, as we start to see more adoption of that, we do include a fingerprint reader here as well.
Yeah.
On the tablet side, and this one I may have covered in our last discussion, but we still have the Chrome Duet Gen 2. This has still been a popular option in K-12, especially in the educators' hands as well. Just more so of a more portable device that comes with a durability case built into it, just to sort of be a lighter weight option as a Chrome tablet or a iPad replacement.
Yeah. We actually just added these to the TIPS and CMAS contract because we had to quote them out. So that's a plug for Advent Tech. Sorry, we're on a bunch of contracts, but yeah, we just added it as well as the case, and the case was really affordable too. I thought it was really reasonable for a tablet style device. I don't know why it seems like the cases just automatically get expensive, but this was really reasonable.
Yeah, we're hoping to help keep costs low by building it into this solution. So again, just further insurance for trying to protect the device.
Yeah.
For the Chromebook Plus 2-in-1, now we're getting into the faculty space here a little bit. So we're looking at Chromebook Plus solutions, and these are going to be your larger Intel Core options. We do have a MediaTek and Intel option, but with the Chromebook Plus, essentially what we're wanting to do is enable educators to sort of mirror that student experience, which is what I was talking about earlier. A lot of the conversations around this, we were talking about the differences between managing a Chrome OS environment and a Windows environment. And there is a whole entire separate discussion to have about that. But we know that licensing for Chrome and management of Chrome is fairly simple and intuitive. So when it comes to wanting to equip your teachers with the same things or something similar that your student is using, we try to enable that with the introduction of the Chromebook Plus. So we do have 2-in-1 solutions. These are going to be a lot more premium devices. They're going to be built with aluminum casings, And generally speaking, teachers, these are still durable devices, but teachers are not necessarily as hard on devices as students are. So these definitely have some more premium features built in as well. It'll support up to a Core 7 on a Chromebook, which is overkill for some use cases, but we do have a lot of different core processor options, should you choose to have that. And of course, all of the latest network updates with Wi-Fi 7 as well.
Nice. Yeah, and I know you guys have purpose-built, AI machines as well
Mm-hmm.
for Windows, but again, it's great because a lot of teachers are still going to be doing things using Google Gemini, right? Using Notebook LM. So it's really good to know that, hey, there is a more high-powered system out here that could do a little bit more of that AI style processing for teachers, because I know teachers, everybody worries about students using AI. Well, about 50% based on our surveys every time we ask our customers. Half are allowing students to use it. The other half are not allowing students to use AI actively in the classroom. But teachers want to use AI for lesson plans, for grading papers, for accuracy, and a bunch of other stuff. So it's great that they have that option through a Chromebook.
Yeah, and Google will talk all day about the capabilities of Gemini and how it's
Yeah.
enabled by Chromebook Plus, and how you can use that to create not only content for students to study, but lesson plans, and how that's really just making teaching such a much more efficient job.
Yeah.
And in addition to the 14-inch 2-in-1 Intel, we have the Chromebook Plus 14-inch, which is the MediaTek option. So this would be, at the time of release, was the only AI certified laptop with Chrome. So
Yeah.
and what we really achieved to set out to do here with the AI capabilities is that at least Google had developed some software that was exclusive to AI on Chromebook. So
Wow.
for a while, we had timed exclusives there. A lot of what this looks like is smart grouping, recorder, image generation. And really what these applications do is they use the onboard NPU. So this isn't cloud-based, this is all local, to group up all of your applications, web browsers, tabs, everything on a per subject basis, and just make it easier for you to jump in between classes if you are teaching multiple different subjects. Recorder version 2 is, if you want to record your lesson plans, right? If you want to have live translation, or if you want to have on-screen captions, Recorder version 2 will automatically do this while you record your class, and it'll help summarize some of the content that is displayed.
Wow.
And this is a file that students can use to go, refer or reference back to the lesson plan for that day should they need to. So it's just, again, just making teachers' lives a lot easier with these features. But the biggest thing is, like, this is one of our most hardware-wise most advanced Chromebooks. Has an OLED display, a 5 megapixel camera. Is super thin and light. In fact, I presented this at the Google booth, about last year at one of our education conferences, and one of the things I wanted to highlight was how easy it was to carry the device around, of course, while instructing. The challenge I feel that we see with the transition from Windows to Google is educators want to be carrying and holding what they feel is a premium device, right? They, if you pass teachers a Chrome device, you want them to associate it with quality. So, how do we combat that? We build a desirable, more premium looking device that will, support those features. So, just to help with that, aid in that transition. So with the MediaTek option, we're looking at a device that can do at least 18 to 20 hours of battery life. So it's really good on that front, right? It really does have all day battery life while still being the highest performing Chromebook Plus that we offer.
And Recorder too. I mean, I know you mentioned it, and you said it can record, it can transcribe, it can translate dynamically. And again, these are tools that, a lot of times teachers don't realize they're out there. And like you said, you purpose-built this with Google for Chromebook Plus, and those features are incredible because all of a sudden you can cast to your interactive flat panel, or you can cast this to your projector if you still have a projector. And all of a sudden, like you're saying, live translation and transcription, and you're recording lessons for any kids that missed it. So there's just pretty incredible tools that, like you're saying, Google's building in to an enterprise class device some education specific use cases and apps that are really powerful for teachers. So that's great.
Yeah, and then another thing you mentioned, of course, because highlighted in the slide is Gemini and the capabilities of that. So we want to enable instructors to also teach their students how to use AI tools, especially when it is Gemini or Notebook LM, because, that it's here to stay, right? So how do you use these tools and get good at using these tools, and, start to develop the skills required to, be proficient in these tools moving forward is, I think, starting to be a part of every lesson plan.
Yeah.
So last thing I'd like to talk about is a Lenovo Smart Charger. And this is just essentially, it's an accessory device, but what it is a way for you to sort of stack up and charge about 15 Chromebooks at once, because you could stack 3 of these on top of each other. If you don't have a charging cart, or if you're just looking for a very simple, on top of desk charging solution, with the Lenovo Smart Charger, we just have an option for you to easily charge up to 5 devices per brick. So
yeah,
just a more organized way to achieve that.
We've been bringing one of these to every trade show, and I would grab it off my desk, but I put it in our experience center recently, and they're so cool. I mean, and they're not expensive either. I mean, the MSRP on it, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think list is, it's like $67, $68, and and you do need to provide a power adapter to go with it. But if you've got a 60 watt, or sorry, like a 65 watt, or even 100 watt, you can charge 5 Chromebooks fast. And it's intelligent charging too, by the way. It's really interesting. It's got little red, yellow, green LED lights. And it took me a minute to figure out what they meant. But the red LED means below 5%. Yellow means up to 80%. And then once a device hits 80%, it's green, or 80% above, it's green. So it even just tells you how the devices are doing and can prioritize the lower charge devices. It's very cool. I mean, for a little device that costs, around, normally, I think we sell around $60. It's super helpful for teachers in classrooms, because kids are going to forget to charge their Chromebooks, even though with my high schoolers, I beat them up every single day to make sure they do it. Inevitably, one day, 2 days a week, they're going to forget to charge their device.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your stuff. So it's one of those things that it just helps to organize the classroom and, make that more manageable.
Yeah, totally.
And from there, I mean, that's pretty much all we had from an education update on the Chrome side. So I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. And Blake is available for questions. We're available for questions. We have a great relationship with Lenovo, and we would love to just, if there's a version of this where you want to hear more about Windows devices or other accessories. I mean, I've got a Lenovo headset, keyboard, mouse, laptop, ThinkPad that I'm on. I even brought my Lenovo sunglasses today. So that's not an accessory you can buy. That's just swag, but we can get you one. But we would love to connect you with your Lenovo sales rep, or Blake if it's a product related question. And thanks so much for following along.